Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 90 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Well Done Life podcast. This is episode 90, and I am your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so excited that you decided to join us this week. If you've been here before, thank you so much for continuing to support me. You guys know I love you deep, and I couldn't have done this without you. So thank you for supporting my journey. I hope I'm adding value. So before we get into this week's episode, I like to always do a little housekeeping. I think that it's really important to make sure that we lay the proper foundation. And since we are building a safe space in my mind, I treat it like a house, and I want to make sure that our foundation is built on two very important things, and that is clarity and love. Now, clarity is pretty straightforward. I just really want to make sure you know why you're here. I mean, the Well Done Life podcast is a podcast that I created for women. I created this space because I feel like as women, we need more opportunities where we can learn and grow from each other. I think that it's about being able to have honest conversations where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that we are focused on or the things that we struggle with, just so that we can help give context to who we are as people and at the same time allow other women the space to hear our journey and be able to see where maybe they can identify with some of the things that we have experienced, or we may be able to help someone avoid some of the pitfalls that we have faced. I just think it's important to have honest, true conversations, especially since women are the foundations of society. We need to be able to lift each other up. So ultimately, that is why I created the Well Done Life. So now that we have clarity, I want to make sure that we talk about my favorite thing. And that's always going to be love, because love is the thing, you know. And everything that we will do here in this space, it is truly rooted in love. And to make sure that I extend that to you, I like to make sure that I send prayers out to each and every one of you every week. Because I do truly believe that when two or more people come together in prayer, our voices are elevated and magnified through heaven. And we need more of those type of situations happening right now because, whoo, child, it's been crazy. So I like to make sure that I extend you prayers every week. So this week, I am sending you prayers of peace. I am sending you prayers of health, mental and physical. I'm sending you prayers of prosperity. I'm sending you prayers of rest because, ooh, child, it is busy. It's a busy time, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm also sending you prayers of love. I hope, especially now in the holiday season, because I know it can be a little tough for some of us. We've experienced a lot of loss this year, or just from past losses that we are still trying to cope with. That it can get a little challenging in the holiday time. So I like to make sure that I extend prayers of love. And I pray that you are surrounded in love this year, because it's just so important to be able to help us grow and elevate. And I want you to know that this is rooted in love and you are loved. So now that we've set the proper foundation, we can kind of start to wind our way into this week's topic. It has been a crazy week. There's just so much going on. I cannot believe that we are officially 20 days away from Christmas and 26 days officially into the end of 2021, which is bananas. I mean, we just celebrated Thanksgiving. I hope you all had an amazing time with Thanksgiving. I hope you had lots of good food and good company. I mean, Thanksgiving has its own sort of little history now, but at the same time, to me, I always like to believe it's about family. And it's also an opportunity for us to really tap into what we're grateful for and give gratitude. And so I like to make sure that I focus on those things. So I hope you had an opportunity to do all of that because, like I said, we're at the end game, y'all, for 2021. And I just am so floored at how quickly we've gotten to this point. But at the same time, I know that this is such a pivotal time. It's a great opportunity for us to prepare for the new year and our new seasons of abundance. And we've kind of already started doing that, which has been great. I have really enjoyed being able to share these kind of moments where we can talk about, claiming our abundance by jumping off into that time and really looking at how we can align our goals more to where we want to be. And also kind of start talking about different resources that are out there to help you, because I really think that there's a lot of resources or keys. I'm doing the air quotes because I'm talking in my DJ Khaled voice. And if you don't understand that, that means that you have not listened to that episode, The Keys. So I'm definitely going to make sure I link it in the show note. But back to the scheduled program, that means we've been laying the foundation, talking about different resources or guides to help us. And then we've taken some time to really get clear about the blessings that we've experienced in this challenging time. Because, like I said, for me, I think during Thanksgiving in particular, I really like to take it as an opportunity to focus on what I am grateful for. And that's not the only time that I do that, but I think it's important that everybody look at what we have to be grateful for. We have so much to be grateful for, because if we are just even sitting here listening to this, that means we are still present. And there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who over this past year, almost 2 years, they didn't make it. And we should be understanding of how grateful we are, how blessed we are to be here, because that means that there's still time in our assignment. There's still things that we have left to do. And so we really have to celebrate those things. And I talked about that in last week's episode. It's the gratitude for me, because I think that gratitude is just so important, especially as we are back in the season of abundance, because you can't be grateful if you can't be grateful for the small things, the little blessings in the midst of all the struggle that we have seen. Then it is going to be really challenging to be grateful for the big things when they come in, because you need those wins, no matter how small, matter how big, to help propel you as you're preparing for your next level of abundance. So I just think it's very important to focus on those things. And the fact that we have kind of been doing that work during this season, I think, is kind of preparing us for our next level, for our abundance. And that's where we have to stay focused on as we are moving through. And I'm going to make sure that I link those episodes that I kind of was referencing, because it's about 3 that I referenced in that statements, that I want to make sure if you haven't had a chance to check out, because believe me, I'm on the same planning journey that you are. And I am focused on my next level, our next abundance, and there's room for all of us. So we all are going to be our accountability partners and helping each other as we move forward into our next level, because, it's our time. And no matter what the world may say, we can't deny that. So it is just very important that we take note. And so, I'm really excited about that and kind of getting into that point, But as like I mentioned, we've been on this journey and we are beginning to prepare for how we want to go into 2022. I want to take it a step further this week. And I want to take it a step further by asking you to think about the plans that you're making right now for 2022. And I want you to ask yourself, how will those plans impact our legacies? Or better yet, what do you think, or what do you plan to do in 2022 that will contribute to your legacy? And I know that that's a hard thought, because, how many of us are actually sitting here every day thinking about our legacy? But you know what? These are hard times. We have lost a lot of people over these last 2 years, and the losses are just continuing, unfortunately. Life is cyclical, and people are dying every day, and they're getting younger and younger. So for those of us that are still present, we really need to look at asking ourselves what we're doing to build our legacies, because each of us has a legacy, and we need to be fully engaged in building it. And as I mentioned, I know the word legacy is a very heavy word. It's a hard word because legacy, when you look it up and you think about it, it carries a connotation of loss of wealth, the prestige, etc. But to me, legacy is so much more than that. And it really goes back to the fact that I think each of us are uniquely destined to do great things in this world. And I have personally always believed that each of us was born to heal one of the issues of this world. And when I say that, I think of it not saying that everyone is going to step into that, because there is a matter of choice. So let me preface it. I strongly believe that each of us is uniquely born to heal one of the issues of this world. And some of us may choose to walk in that path, in that gifting. And that path and gifting, it is a blessing, but it is also a challenging path, because you're always going to face obstacles in the world, because that's just how it's going to be. And they will create their legacy through service, to fulfilling that passion or that pull that they are feeling on their life. But then for those of us that don't take the obvious path, there's still legacy to build. I mean, many times our legacy becomes our families or our service to our community. There's just so many different ways that you can build a legacy. But it's up to you to think about what that is going to be. And how are you going to be noted when that time comes that you unfortunately will not be here? And because we all have to acknowledge that at some point in time, we're not going to be here. And so every day that we get a chance to exist, that we get a chance to thrive, is an opportunity where we are building upon our legacy. And so I think that it is with that, we have to really ask ourselves, what are we doing every day to contribute to that? Because our legacy is our indelible mark that we leave in the world. And like I said, we all have that legacy. It's just up to us to decide how we want to build it, what we're going to do to contribute to it. And I know you guys are probably listening to this like, wow, this is just really deep. This is really heavy. But I have to admit, it seems like legacy is in the wind. And when I say that it's in the wind, I have seen many different signs and wonders. And Lord, let me preface that too for my new people. I'm one of those like sage burning, Christ loving, waist bead wearing chicks. I look at signs, numbers, wonders. I think there's many mansions and many warriors in God's kingdom. And like God gives you clues and different things that you should be looking at and paying attention to find direction as you're moving forward to your life. So that's pretty much where all this comes from. But part of it also comes from just from what I am seeing around me. Like I was scrolling on Instagram the other night, and because, I have mentioned to y'all that social media at night is one of my mindless obsessions that I do to kind of help decompress, which is crazy. I will scroll a little bit. And the other night I was scrolling and I came across a post, and I'm going to share it with you. And it's about the top 5 regrets of dying. And it says it's from Bronnie Ware. She's an Australian nurse and she works in hospice. And what it says is that phenomenal clarity of vision people gain at the end of their lives. Same top 5 regrets people expressed in the last 12 weeks of life. And essentially, I'm going to share these with you because it's like amazing when you listen to them, how many of us probably could relate to these same regrets right now. Number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Every male patient, she has in parentheses, felt that way. They felt that they missed their children's youth and their partner's companionship. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier, realize that happiness was a choice. And so that made me think about legacy, because when you have those type of feelings, there's just so many regrets. And I was like, wow, I have to admit, I had a few of those of myself where I wish I had stayed in touch with certain friends more. Or I wish that I had the courage at times to express my feelings. Or I wish I had let myself be happier. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Like I was mentioning to you guys earlier, I'm ready to take another vacation. And I'm literally just like learning how to value my time off and not feel guilty about taking time off. And yes, I have been one of those people because let me just say that too. For my new folks, I do have a corporate position that I work and I don't take a lot of time off. I have to admit, I think if anyone were to say anything about me at my job, they would say she doesn't take a lot of time off. She's always available. And a lot of times that feeling is rooted in guilt. Like if I don't work harder, I'm not going to be respected. And it has taken me a lot of self-work and positive talk to start understanding that I don't have to be available all the time and that taking time off is not a bad thing. It continues to keep me fulfilled. It keeps my family happy. But I took a pandemic for me to learn that because it's not like something I had been doing for a while. It's just in these last 2 years, I've really learned the value of taking time and not being so rushed and hurried. But I think about these people who are in the last 12 weeks of their life and they're having these regrets. And these regrets make me think that a lot of times they're not realizing, they're questioning the legacy that they're leaving because they're wondering, were they present enough? They're wondering, did they work too hard and didn't live enough? And I just don't want that to be my story or yours. And then it also, well, this is the first thing that I saw actually. I'm a big Insecure fan. And if you haven't heard of Insecure is on HBO. It's a wonderful comedy that unfortunately is coming to the end after 5 seasons. And it was by Issa Rae. And there's just this amazing character on there, Kelly, who I feel like as sometimes is my spirit animal. She even has a podcast, Penny's Preguntas. But anywho, the first episode of this last season, unfortunately, Kelly, she had gone back to her college for a reunion, and everybody thought she was dead because they wrote that she had died. And you were hearing how people were talking about her. Like literally one of the things that somebody said about her was that she had a mean stanky leg. And if you've never done the stanky leg, it's just like a ghetto, like really cute dance, with the stanky leg. It's really fun. I'm already like swaying as I'm sitting here talking to you about it, but literally that was what they were like saying was the thing that they remembered about her, that she could do the stanky leg. And she was hurt because she was like, I don't want to be remembered like that. And well, long story short, at the end of the episode, and she was on her podcast talking about it, she said, what is everyone's legacy? Like, what's going to be your legacy? What are people going to say about you when you pass away? And that made me think, wow, that is so true. What is my legacy? And what am I doing every day to contribute to that legacy? So again, it's just making sure that you're positioning yourself for people to really know the trueness of you, but at the same time also for you to make sure that you are living your life completely and fully, because tomorrow is not promised to you. So you want to make sure that the moments that pass are value added. And I think about how fleeting life is with the recent passing of Virgil Abloh, who was the creative director for Louis Vuitton and also had Off-White. He was 41 years old and he battled cancer secretly for 2 years. And that just takes so much fortitude. When I heard about him passing, it instantly threw me back to Chadwick Boseman the same way, like secretly going through these battles. And it just made me think about, wow, how these men were so brave to battle something so hard. But at the same time, they did not allow it to stop them from living. Virgil Abloh was still designing. Chadwick Boseman was Black Panther during this time. I mean, my hat, my heart, my soul, when I heard he passed away, I was floored because I am the biggest Marvel nerd. And I have seen him in every movie that he has been in for Marvel, and not just Black Panther. I'm going all the way back to Captain America Civil War. I mean, he was just doing so many stunts and doing so many things and acting in so many movies outside of Marvel and just living so fully, even though he is dying. And I think about the same with Virgil Abloh. I mean, this man was still designing. They said one of his last things that he had to make sure happened was that his fashion line was going to be shown at Art Basel, which is coming up in South Florida in a few days. I actually think it might have started by the time you guys are listening to this. But to think, and that was his last act, that shows you that even in the midst of tragedy, even in the midst of knowing that this is your end, you are still living like today is is not your last day, and you are still doing everything in your power to contribute to your legacy. And moments like that, and excuse me, I'm sorry my voice gets a little quaky because I'm so saddened by these losses, but at the same time I am so inspired by their resilience that it just makes me recognize the power of living your life fully, living your life the way that you want to, and making sure that you are being super intentional about your time, because unfortunately it's going to end. So you want to make sure that you are living every day completely, no matter what you're facing. And I think that those are important things to think about as we are building on our plan for 2022, because how can we sit up here and try to set goals for ourselves if we don't think about how we want to live, how we want to be remembered, how we want the impact that we want to make on the world? And I think that that is just a new aspect of goal setting that many of us don't think about. We think about the present, and there's nothing wrong with thinking about the present. But think about the present in the sense of, does it fulfill you? Does it give you that impact? Does it speak to who you are as a person and your values and how you want to be remembered? Because if not, then maybe what you are doing is not the right thing for you. And I think that it's a harder conversation. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think planning your legacy is super easy at all, because we're all evolving and going and changing. But I think that as we are starting to mature, we have to think about that. We have to think about what our legacy is, because if we die today, we want to make sure that we have lived the life that we want to live. And that we are clear about that for ourselves, not necessarily for the world, but for ourselves. Because if we're clear about that for ourselves and we are walking in our purpose and living in our purpose, believe me, your legacy is already going to be set, because you are doing work that will naturally be impactful, because it speaks to your heart. It speaks to your soul. That's where the greatness inside of each of us lives. And so when we are doing those things, we are naturally contributing to our legacy. And I just think it's really important that we do that we take that time to sit down and make sure that our goals and our plans align with the life that we want to live. And like I said, it's not about the superficial. It's about who we are. It's about tapping into us. It's about the happiness and fulfillment, because that's the truest legacy that we will ever be able to give, that we will be able to define, because it will radiate in everything that we do when we tap into that side of ourselves, and people will remember that. And that's your legacy. But it all starts and ends with us. So I hope that as you are planning and thinking about this, that you will give yourself time to think about the legacy that you want to create, and that you will give yourself space to go for it. Really, because it's your story and you got to tell it your way. You know, I went, like I said, I've been thinking about it too. I didn't mean to stumble there, but it is when I start thinking about my legacy, I think about it too. I can't just talk to y'all about it. And I have to admit, doing this podcast, that's my legacy. I'm building my legacy because I'm so passionate about it. I help talking to women like this. I love inspiring people. I love showing people that you are everything that you thought you were and more. And that the answers are inside of you for all the things that you are afraid of. You have all the spiritual giftings that you need to be able to be successful, but you have to be willing to tap into who you are and do the work and unleash it. And then once it's unleashed, there is nothing that you will not be able to accomplish. I love that. And it speaks directly to my spiritual giftings. And I've talked about it before. My spiritual gifting is the gift of exhortation. So I have the ability, my spiritual gifting is I can speak life into people. And I believe that. And so this gives me an opportunity to be able to do what I love, because this is what I love. I love seeing everyone win, because I think we need that. We're not really here to compete. We're here to thrive and to learn. And if we are focused on doing those things, we'll be elevated. You'll win. You don't have to worry about what the next person is doing. Worry about what you're doing. And then at the same time, this gives me joy. Talking to you guys is one of the greatest things that I get a chance to do. And I look forward to growing and continuing to develop this platform, this brand. And that's why I try to be super intentional about the guests that I bring on this show, the subjects that we talk about. I really try to give it as much thought and intention as possible, because this is an extension of my gift. And so I know I can't play with it. And so this is a part of my legacy, and I take it as seriously as such. So I want you to think about the things in your life that you feel that way about. And what are you doing with your goals to make sure that you are contributing to that gifting, that you are continuing to build in that gift, and at the same time that you are living fully and not being afraid and moving forward, because that's also part of it. Give yourself permission to do the things that speak to your heart and your soul, but that also scare you. Because on the other side of that fear is greatness. On the other side of that fear is fulfillment and happiness. And when you're fulfilled and happy and operating all those cylinders, I promise you, you are operating in your destiny, in building your legacy. Make sure that you are doing that. And like I said, I know legacy talk is a hard conversation. It is. I mean, especially since we're talking about it in situations where it can be shrouded in death. And unfortunately, legacy always has that connotation. It is defined even as a part of that. And I'll put the definition in the show notes. But at the same time, you have to understand, it's not that you are preparing to die. You are preparing to live, because you are operating within the fullness and wholeness of yourself, because you understand that you're not going to be here forever. So you are going to value the time that you have been given, the assignment that you are going to be given, and you're going to walk in your purpose, because you know that when you walk in your purpose and you are truly illuminated in it, all aspects of your life will benefit from it. And you're building your legacy and building your life at the exact same time. So I wanted to make sure that I kind of had a brief conversation about that. And we'll talk a little bit more about legacy. But I definitely wanted to bring it out because we're just seeing so many different things happening. And, we have to just really take this opportunity to take stock of what we are trying to do, and make sure that as we are building our vision and our goals for next year, that you are vision minded and legacy minded at the exact same time. Tap into that side of you. I'm telling you, great things are going to come. And I'm going to do my work just as well, too. So we're in this together. I'm really excited about where we are right now. We have one more episode for 2021, which will launch on December the 12th. And then I will be on vacation until January the 9th. And like I said earlier, I really appreciate your continued support and encouragement. I literally couldn't do this without you. And I mean that because you, like I said, y'all are my legacy. This is a part of my legacy. And so I take it very seriously. I take your feedback very seriously. I take the listens, the engagement. I follow this sucker very closely because I want to make sure that I am adding value. As we are going into 2022, if there's anything that you would recommend that we do differently or discuss more, I would love to hear your feedback. Yes, I'm going to be quiet for after December the 12th because I need a mental break. And at the same time, I have to get quiet so I can do what I have been telling you guys to do. And so I want you to know that that does not mean, though, even though I'm quiet, I still will probably peep in here and there and take a look at things and make sure. So please don't hesitate to share your feedback with me, rate, subscribe, review, send me an email, smoke signal, whatever you like to do, because I would love to know how you're feeling about everything. I have one friend, my friend Keisha, she calls me every week after she listens to an episode and gives me feedback. And I love it. It affirms me, one, but at the same time, I honestly believe that if there was different things that I could do to improve the episode, she would tell me, or if there's certain pockets that she really enjoys, she shares with me, and that means the world to me. And I know not everyone is going to call me, and I understand that, but that does not mean that you cannot email me or send me a DM. I will look at it within reason. Don't get crazy in the DMs, y'all. Some of y'all are just like nuts. Don't get blocked in the DM. But at the same time, or when you see a post, post a comment, because it just helps me. And I understand that this isn't about perfection. So believe me, it's not about you hurting my feelings. I just ask you to be respectful. It's about growth. I am always open to grow and to learn because, like I said, y'all are my legacy. And so I take your feedback very seriously and I appreciate your continued support. So, like I said, all the information will be in the show notes. I'm going to put previous episodes in there as well as for you. And like I said, I really just hope I've given you something to think about with the legacy. I'll be back next week, December 12th. It'll be our last episode for 2021. I promise to make it a good one. Again, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the journey, and I appreciate you being a part of my legacy. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Please take care of yourselves and each other. I will talk to you next week.